Welcome back. Okay, this is everything I got for the month of February 2023. Stack's looking pretty average. It's a good time of year for comic books. End of the year, usually I get just a dump of stuff because everything's trying to get shipped out, and then usually in the summer things pick up because I feel like I'm not reading enough, and then I order more than I can read, and then it's hard to keep caught up and everything. But Stack is pretty good. Kicking things off, Hellboy in Love #3. This is going to be the second story within this miniseries. Really digging this so far. Last issue, Anastasia, our female protagonist, and Hellboy held hands at the end. Little love is in the air. But yeah, I'm really digging this book, and I love anything Hellboy, as I say pretty much every single video. Moving on to Lovesick #5. So when I first picked the series up, I thought it was going to be like a horror book about a succubus who ran like a underground club where she was a dominatrix and had like a coven of succubi, and they like ate or feasted on people who were bad, who would come to the club. It's not that at all. No, it kind of hints that might be a thing, but by the end of the first arc, it's just a woman named Domino who works in a club and films like snuff content, and it's got a lot of themes of like toxic masculinity online and like incel culture, and commenting against it, not like supporting or anything. The second series, this is the second issue. I think there's one more left. Is about like Domino's origin and this how she met her benefactor, and they have a relationship that's not. It's definitely kind of like a sadomasochist relationship. So it's not a horror book. I don't know if I could use the term thriller correctly, but yeah, I'm digging it. Like, it's fine. I don't hate or anything. Oh, you can see on the cover there's a copy of the movie Sallow, so that should give you an idea of kind of what the book's about. The first issue wasn't too. The first issue of this new story was not too crazy, but I'm not even gonna like tempt fate opening the cover to this one. It's pretty wild. I would not recommend this to children. That's for sure. Um, don't ask your parents to pick up Lovesick, but I don't know if like I've read similar stories like this by like Howard Chaykin, or even like I've read the biography of where they get the term sadomasochist from. So like the guy that it's based off of. So it's may not be for everybody. I've been enjoying it. The art, I really like the storytelling in it. So I'll see where it goes. And I give every issue 6 issues, right? So not saying that, not raising my rule is like I'm not going to read this further than 6. I don't think it's going to last more than 6, but we'll see where it goes. Nemesis. So the first issue was exactly what I was expecting. Like just an over-the-top Mark Millar story with some kick-ass art by Jorge Jimenez. And I hope I pronounced that last name correctly. But yeah, it ends with basically Nemesis pulling off this crazy heist and just murdering hundreds of authority figures. And it's just, yeah, it's really over the top. And it's all kind of leading up to this thing called The Big Game, which is a crazy Mark Millerverse crossover between I don't know how many of his stories from his little world are involved, but I've seen some art with like, I've seen Hit Girl and Kick-Ass, but he implies that like everything is going to be in it. So yeah, we'll see where that goes. Mark Millar, I find he writes on like a spectrum. You get like one side of it is him just doing whatever he wants, and some may see it's immature or it's very edgelordy, a lot of terrible comic book tropes that we shouldn't be using anymore, and I agree with that. On the other end, I think he writes some really good superhero stories and just some really good, people call them like pitches for movies or Netflix specials. I think that's good as well. I really like the whole spectrum of what Mark Millar does. I think it's great he gets to do what he wants and he's able to make a career out of it, and I'm enjoying Nemesis. It's exactly what I thought it was going to be. It's an over-the-top, popcorny book with just ridiculous things like, because it's supposed to kind of take place in the real world, but kind of like Kick-Ass did, but it's like a step above ridiculous of Kick-Ass. Kick-Ass is believable because it's just a kid in a suit who gets beat up a lot until he learns to kick ass. This is like a dude who's pulling off some crazy stuff that's very much like superhero comics, but he's supposed to be this like all super rich, evil Batman. So yeah, I would imply that from the kid on the cover, we're going to maybe get a bit of his origin, but I don't like. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. 8 Billion Genies, issue 7. Oh, this is the second last issue. There's only one more left. The last issue was the first 8 months after G Day or Genie Day. This is the first 8 years. And I think the last one's like the first 8, like the next 8 decades or maybe even centuries. I don't know. But the last issue was a ton of fun. The band from the bar went out on their own to just try and find others, but also they wanted to like be the best band they could be. So they went and started like practicing. They found this town where they could like get better at, and yeah, it was really good. And I don't know really what this one will be about. I'm sure there'll be lots of cool stuff happening as our characters now getting fairly old. If it's like the first 8 years, actually no, the first 8 years is not bad. It's like less than a decade. I take that back. But yeah, I think whatever Charles Soule and Ryan Brown do next, I'm 100% on board. And yeah, I'll probably pick this up as a trade as well. I say probably because I have really enjoyed it, and I think as a trade, it's something I could like lend to people. I don't think it's a comic book people would expect. So if like someone's like, oh, I don't really comic books, it's just like superheroes, I'm like, you should check out 8 Billion Genies. It's a really fun idea, and it's executed really well. I Hate Fairyland. I love this book, honestly. I love the first series. I love this one. I generally laugh out loud reading this book. The last one, Gertrude was fighting basically like her own version of a gremlin, like from the Gremlins movies, like don't feed after midnight, don't get a wet type of thing. Pretty awesome. This one, obviously, she's drawn naked and there's some sort of creature on the front. So yeah, she continues her quest into Fairyland to try and find this lost boy that she's been hired to find and potentially help with a corporate takeover of Fairyland. So I don't want to flip too far because I really like this book and I don't want to spoil anything for myself. Erratic 2 Recharged, Erratic Square Recharged, I'm not sure. But last issue, I really enjoyed this story. I like anything Carrie Andrews draws. I really love his art. My only, and this is really just on my fault, complaint is I never read the first series, which I realize now there is one after reading 3 issues. So there's some elements that I don't know the details of because I never read the first arc. But I'm really digging this. And if there's another chapter or volume, I'll pick that up as well because, yeah, it's been really fun. Oh, this is great. Second issue of, I never pronounce this character's name right, Cashel, but he was a antagonist in a Hellboy story, and was killed by Hellboy. He's now in Hell. This takes place like after Hellboy has basically done his thing and fulfilled part of his prophecy and kind of taken out most of the people in Hell. So Cashel has been kind of asked to go into like Pandemonium and kind of fix some things. So yeah, it's great. I really dig Ben Stenbeck, the artist in this. He's done a lot of stuff for like Lord Baltimore and a bunch of like some BPRD arcs in here and there too. So yeah, you've seen some of these pages I flipped through already. It looks great. Then Doctor Strange False Sunrise. This is the 4th issue. I think this is the last one. I think this was only a 4-issue mini, but man, oh man, this has been such a really good book. Again, the art in this is just mind-boggling. It's so good. The colors are just, there's colors in here. I like the way they kind of have the palette set up is so good. The story is awesome. The last issue, ends with basically Doctor Strange having to realize, I don't know, he gets all the details of what exactly is going on, and he's still trying to help this woman give birth to a child, and he finds out that it's not the first time this basically God has tried to give birth, and every time it does, this like evil God destroys him, and then the person trying to deliver dies, and yeah, like, jeepers, like, amazing. This is what I'm definitely gonna trade, and one I hope is like some sort of oversized version, which I don't understand why Marvel doesn't do more of those, especially with art like this. This is going to be really good. Then up next, I've got Unwanted Violence, issue 2. And the first issue was good. It's like Spawn kind of get involved with like, well, there's this background thing happening of like a protest for, I'm assuming Black Lives Matters. And then also the story takes place after Spawn issue 300, which doesn't really apply to me because I stopped reading Spawn at like issue 32 is actually the last issue of Spawn I ever read. That's the last one I purchased. And yeah, but it's a fun little story. Again, I bought this 100% for the art. I bought this because Mike Del Mundo's on the cover. If Mike Del Mundo drew like the phone book, I would buy it. But I think this is the last issue. I think it's only two. I can totally flip to the end because that's just some breakdown stuff. It's funny because some of the breakdown stuff looks like art from like some of the other stuff Mike Del Mundo has worked on. But yeah, digging that. And then finally, Saga issue 62. It's funny because the series is back, but we get like an issue maybe once every couple of months, and I think they've apologized for that in the letter columns too. But the last issue, like every issue right now, kind of ends on a banger. But the last one, like two big things were kind of revealed, where one of our main characters, Petrichor, they show up and they are just on a path of just bloody vengeance for what happened in, I want to say like volume 1, but basically the stories before like the last big break. And then we also learned some stuff. Some stuff was revealed that could also affect the lives of like our main cast, and like Alana has like a pretty big decision to make that could undermine what happened previously. I don't know. I don't want to spoil anything because this book is like easily my favorite being published. Like miniseries come out and I really love them and they're really good, but like ongoing, can't beat Saga right now, in my opinion. And then I got volume 9 of Berserk. I am currently on volume 4, so I've got a ways to go to catch up. I recognize some of these people here, but I've got volume 9, so up to 13. Okay, up to 13. There's some panels there. I hope didn't get on camera, but up to volume 13 is published right now. So I'm only 10, 11, 12, four volumes behind, and then we'll see. I don't know how many there are in total of all the stuff that's been published by Kentaro, but I did read that they are going to start up new volumes, new chapters of Berserk that's going to wrap up the story. Which will be interesting. I've seen some of the art. It's good. It's nowhere near as good as Kentaro, obviously. Like no knock against that, but that's tough to come close to. But yeah, that's everything. Only one trade, which is kind of weird, but it's been a kind of low trade month. I think next month I got a couple more trades coming in, but we'll see. But as always, send me your jeers, send me your cheers, and I'll see you next month.